Hello everyone, today we will talk about React. We will find out what it is, how it's to install and work with it. React is just a library for building user interface. It's their official websites, and uh, React will be created by Facebook. It is based in component approach. Here you can see the example of the code on React and just read this documentation and figure out what is this. But uh, now in this video you know how to install your first project in React. For this you need to have a node.js in your computers and package manager in Pix. It's pre-requirements before installing React app. If you have it, you just need to go in your code editors. In my case, it just VS Code, and I create the just empty project, call it React test project, and now we just open the terminal and write the command npx create React app and the name of your app. In my case, for example, create first React app name and enter press. So great. Now we need to wait several minutes and your app will be created.
Just a few minutes ago.
So great, our project was installed, and now we just can see what is this. In folder node modules, we have some modules for React working with this library and others. For file gitignore, we have uh, some dependencies and some other things that doesn't need to be on a Git. In package JSON, we have information about our app, their version, dependencies, and versions of your project, and so on. And README, we have some information how to start, test, build your project, and in the folder public we have some icons, logo, and the main file in this folder it's index.html. In this file we have a markup for our project, and the main it's div with id root. It's just all of our markup for all code when we just create just will be inserted in this root in this div. For development we just need folder src, and here we see some files. It's a file with styles, it's a file with our JS6. It's a simple example. It's the same the HTML, and you can write code in a JavaScript file, use the J6 markups. Here we see our test for our app, and in index.js imports our app and render it in the root for this file. You just insert this file in the root our app. So great. Now we just start this project. For this, we just need to change the directory in this and text the command npm start. So it's great. Wait some time, and our apps will be open in this localhost. That's great. You see your first app, but we just need to change it and create your own markup. For this, we just remove all of this G6 and just create first your wrap and remove style CSS test. Does it need it for us? And for app, we move it to results bin 2. So great. And now we just text React tutorial and see the result that change it and React tutorial. So great. Now we can just create folder with styles for our app. Just create and create new folder, a new file, style CSS. And for this, we just can add class name, for example, tutorial. Great. And here we just add some styles, margin on 0 auto, and text align center, font size, for example, 24 pixels, letter spacing, and maybe change it for 20 pixels, like this. And just import this. And great, and see the result that our markup become in the center of the page. That's great. Just add maybe font weight. Font weight. That's great. So now we just create several components. For this, we just add the new folder to do and create your first to-do list. For this, we just need to add several components. First, it will be to-do list, yes, and second, it will be to-do items, yes. That's great. And now we need to create markup and for to-do list. Just text export default function to-do list, like our component names, and just will be returned list of element, like this. For our to-do item, we create a function to do items and return the element. For example, 1, 2, 3. Great. And now we need to go to do list and to just text to do items, and it will be automatically imports to your project. And after that, we need to import to do list in our app. Just go to our app file and text to do list. Great. And now we just go to our React tutorial and see that our markup. Now we just change it and do it more complicated and more beautiful. So first we need to create the array of cases for learning something. For example, we create const cases, which will be just array and objects, array objects. And first it will be ID, for example, like this is completed. Set false, and title will be turn JS, for example, like this. And we just copy and change ID and change text title, for example, learn React JS and learn node.js, for example, like this. So we create our array, and now we need to pass this array to our to-do list. For this, we just need to create a key. For example, it will be cases, and pass our array to our to-do list. Now we pass our cases for our to-do list, and now we need to accept it to our to-do list. In function, we just need to text props, and after that we need to change a little bit our markup. We need to move it and use props and text our key. It will be cases, and use map, and here we need to iterate for our array of object, and just text item, callback function, and here we need to use our to-do item like this, and pass for our to-do item return and pass to our to-do item our items. It will be like case and pass for this item, and we need to use in our cases we need to use ID for to-do items, and it will be k, and k will be item point ID, like this. So great, we need to just save, and when we pass our to-do items, it will be pass case for our to-do items. We need to accept it. We need to go our to-do item and just text these props and move this markup, remove, and use new, and use our props here. Just text props, our key, it will be cases, and we need to use title and text title and save it. And after that we see that we use our text with array. We pass parameter for our elements. Now we just need to stylize it a little bit for better visibility. Now we just change a little bit our markup. For it we just add some elements. For example, we add button, we add checkbox, and we pass parameter index for our to-do item. First we pass parameter, just need to text index and pass it index, save it and accept it in props, index, and see the result. We have index 0, 1 and 2, and it will be not good if we start with 0. We just need to add 1. It will be 1, 2, 3. Great. And now we add span element, span, and here will be our input. With type checkbox, type checkbox. Great. And now we add button, like this. So great, we have a checkbox, we have a button. Great. Now we just stylize our elements. For it, we just go to our to-do list and import our style. For it, we just text it, CSS, and style CSS. Great. And here we need to use class, for example, with name cases. Great. And we need to go our style CSS and just use display flex, flex direction column, and for our list of elements we just use display flex again. Justify content will be center, region item will be center, and see the result. That's great. And now we just need to a little bit more stylizate our element. For our index, we just add tag strong, have a bold our index is great, and we add a little bit more style. We add the border, for example, gray, add some width, height, and margin bottom. Better like this. Add self-center and see the result. Great. It will be in the center, and now we stylizate a little bit our checkbox and our button. For it, we just need to import style, import, style, that's CSS. Great. And now we just add some styles for our elements. For example, we add class, for example, case index, and text here, margin right, maybe like this. And add styles for our button. Better use class name and delete case, for example, like this, and it will be here we add position relative, and here we add position absolute, and it will be top, for example 5, and left right will be 5 2. That's great, maybe more than, and for example it will be font size 25, for example. It will be better, and right will be a little bit less, more, and it will be like this. It's great. And now we have our button, and add pointer. Save. Great. We have such markup. First of all, we need to get to know what is UseState hook. It is a function that is used to store the state in its functional component. It's taken arguments as initial state and returns two arrays with elements. The first element is the current state value, and the second element is the state update function. Now we just need to import UseState from React. For it, we just text UseState from React. So great. And now we need to change our cases, UseState. For it, we just need to use array cases. And set cases. And use UseState. For it, we just need to call it and wrap it like this. So great. The first element it will be current state value, and the second element will be state update function. To use it, we need to write the function. For example, I call it toggle cases, pass parameter ID, and now we need to call our set cases for update our cases. Set cases function, and now we just call our cases, use map to iterate for cases, and we just will be compare our cases IDs. It will be like this: single case ID equals ID when we pass in arguments. And if single case ID equals ID, we will just change our checkbox for true. It will be like this: single case is completed equals, and add inversion. Like this. And now we need to return the result. So great. We create the function that will be change our checkbox, and now we need to pass this function to our to-do list item list and to-do list item. For it, we just need to use props, and here we just text k, for example, on toggle, and our function toggle case. So great, we save it, and now we need to accept this parameter in our to-do list. For this, we just go to our to-do list and for example, use key on change, and use this key on toggle. It will be props on toggle, and save it. So great. We pass for our function to to-do list, and now we need to pass it for to-do items. For pass it for to-do items, we need to use props again, and call this function on change, and props on change, and pass parameter. In our case, it will be props case ID. So great. We pass parameter for our props, and now we just need to add some class for our elements to just we need to add class to line throw our elements here when we press on our checkbox. So for this we add a function here. For example, like this. Call it add class done, and use array empty, and check if our props case is completed. In our case, like this, we just will be add for our classes push class done. So great, and will be return our array join like this. So this function just add class done for our elements, and now we need to add it for our logic. We need to call class name, text class name, and call our function add class done, and go to our style CSS and use this class done, and text decoration will be line throw. So save it. To see the result, we need to change our markup a little bit. We just need to add span elements and add here and remove from here. So great, save it and go to our elements, and it will work. So great, we just cross our elements. Great, it worked excellent. Now we will stylize our style component. We style component this markup and add styles. For it, we just need to stop our server and go to documentation of style components and run this command. First of all, run, and here is documentation how it's use style component. Link will be under the video, and you get to know more about this for this documentation. And we just use some styles, not so complicated, but useful for our markup. For starting using our style component, we need to import it. Use it, import style it from style component. And now we just go to official documentation and, for example, use it with our button like this. And here we can write the styles. We have such button, delete cases. We can just copy it here and move from here, for example, like this, and change a little bit styles for our button delete case. Position absolute, top will be, for example, 6 pixels, right 6. Font size will be changed, for example, for 20. Line height, line height, line height, for example, will be 22 pixels. Width, for example, will be 20 pixels. Pixel origin will be center. So, for example, background will be red. For example, border radius will be 20%, and color will be white, 3 pair, and cursor pointer we have. So great, we create our style component button, and now we just change it for this. We just call such button, and text for our button like this. So great, and we can see the result that we have such button. We need to a little bit stylize more, and it's just example how to use style component. It just good to use when we use with some props elements. We can pass it for our style component and use it and change the colors and something like this. It's great tools. I advise you to get to know about it more. And now we just add styles for our component. Here, just remove it and add styles for SCSS. For our case we just change it for left, add more widths, and add paddings, and add for our input some styles. It will be span input like this, and add here padding, for example 20. So great. For case index we change for left 10, and for deleted cases we change the style and see the result. So it's more better. We just need to stylize a little bit more our button, and now it's look a little bit better. We just stylize it. So for fix our cross, we just move the padding here. We just set padding will be 0 and save it, and it looks a little bit better. We can mark if we completed our case, and we now will delete this case, create logic for this. So let's get started. There are several ways to pass value between components. We use props when we pass cases for to-do list and after that for to-do items and change the state here. But if the nesting is much larger, in this case we can use the context. So first of all, we create the new file context. So great. And now we need to import React from React and create context variable. React create context. So great. And now we need to export it. Export default context. We create our file context, and now we need to use it in our app. For it, we just import this, import context from context. When we import, we need to use it for our app. For this, we just text context and text provider. So great. We created wrap our component for context provider, and now we need to create a function that will be delete our cases for this click. For this, we just create a function const remove for example cases, and we will pass parameter ID for this function, and we use set cases, our UseState, and we just need to use case and use method filter, and we will iterate for our cases, and if case ID doesn't equals ID with when function will be passed, it just create new array and without this element. So single case, for example, single case ID doesn't equals ID when we pass it. So great, we created remove cases, and now we need to use this. For use it, we just need to text for our context provider value and pass this function. For this, we just text remove cases and save it. So great. Now we need to use it for our to-do item. For this, we just go to our component to-do item, and we need to import context, and we need to import our new hook. It will be import UseState, useContext from React. So great. Now we just need to use it. Text here const, and our key, it will be remove cases, and here we need to use hook useContext and pass for useContext context. So great. Now we can just call it for our button. For it, we just need to text on click event on click, and there exist several ways how to call or remove cases function. For example, first way we can use callback function and call remove case and pass parameter with ID and save it, and after that we just can check it. So great, it's work. And the next way how to call it is just text remove cases bind pass null, and the same props case ID. Save it, and it's work great. So you can choose your way how to use this. It's just create a new function with bind or use callback function. For this example, we have callback function, and now I show you how to use bind. So great, but if we just mark and delete all of our cases, we don't have any messages, and we don't understand what is it. So for this, we need to go to our app and create new div, example, and add class for this to do list, for example, and here we need to use condition and check if case length more than 0, we just will call this to-do list, and if it's equals less than 0, we just text the message, for example, no case, like this, and save it, and copy this class and go to our styles and add style for better visibility, and for example we add element for the center and add font size, for example, like this, and letter spacing and font weight, for example, set like this. So great, and now we just go to our browser and see the result that we have message no cases. If we reload the page, we have our elements, we can mark it, we can delete, mark again, delete, and see the message no cases. So great. Now we create a markup for our component and input fields and button for adding new elements. So first of all, we need to create a function. Function will call AddTodo. And we need to create our markup. We create a form, input field, input, this type text, and name will be, for example, name to do, and the value will be empty, and we change it, and create a button with type submit. So great, we create our markup, and now we need to create the useState hook to set value. For it, we just need to import component useState from React. Great, and now we need to use it, create a const value, and set value, and use useState with empty string. Great. Now we need to add value for our input field. For it, we just need to set it, and let's create logic for our input field. Create event on change, and callback function event, and call our set value, and pass here event target value. So great, and we need to add for form it will be event on submit, and end function submit handler, for example, and call this function const submit handler, and pass here event. And first of all, we need to prevent reloading the page. For this, we just need to use event prevent default. Alt. Great, and now we need to check if our value is not empty. We need to pass this value for our app component. For this, we just can use if value green, and here we just need to call the function that will be add a new value for our elements. Now we just save it. Just need to go for app and call it here. It's automatically import, and if we save it, we see the result that we have input field and button add. Now it doesn't work, and we now add the logic that now new elements added for this item list. So great. For this, we need to use this function and add logic this. So first of all, we create in our app function AddTodo. AddTodo and pass title here. It will be our title like this. And now we need to use our set case, UseState, and to set new case for this array. For this, we need to use we can use method concat, and we need to set array object, and will be pass title, and ID will be match random. For example, multiply like this, and our is completed by default will be false. Great. Now we need to use this function. For it, we need to pass it for our AddTodo component. For this, we need to use key. For example, I create key on create and pass value our function and to do. So great. Now we need to use our on create function for our to-dos. For this, we need to for accept it in arguments on create, and call this function here on create, and pass here value of element. So great. Now we save it and go to our form and see the result. For example, we add test, and we see that we add item for our list. We can remove it. For example, add again. Example, add again, and mark it. Remove, mark. So great. But we see that our input field doesn't clean. For it, we need to use our set value function that will clean our input. We just pass empty string for this set value, and when we go to our web page and add new, we see that our input is empty. For example, add something text and see the result. So great. We created our form. We can delete it, edit, mark it. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, put likes, leave comments. It motivates me to release more cool video on YouTube. Thank you.